Welcome to There Is a Method to the Madness. My name is Rob Maxwell and I'm an exercise physiologist and personal trainer. I'm the owner of Maxwell's Fitness Programs and I've been in business for the past 28 years. The mission of this podcast is to talk about issues regarding health and fitness and, get beneath things, get to the method of the madness, why things actually work from a scientific standpoint and a common sense standpoint at the same time. Today's topic is about about motivation. It's sort of about how fitness professionals, fitness enthusiasts maybe sometimes need to do a better job of being a nice ambassador for fitness. So I'm going to explain that. That was a bit of a tongue twister there. Shouldn't have been, but it was. But before I get into all that, I want to thank our sponsors, Jonathan and Lynn Gilden at the Gilden Group at Realty Pros. They currently have over 270 five-star reviews on Zillow and over 100 million sold between them. I absolutely vouch for them. They are fitness go-getters. They will help you find the house and or apartment that you're looking for, and they will definitely help you list your house. If you need any help with your real estate needs, please give them a call at 386-451-2412. So now let's get into the method to the madness. I shop at Publix. That's where my daughter works, and there's a nice little young man I've known for a while. He was a client when he was 14, 15. His mom brought him in, and great kid. Not going to say his name, don't want to embarrass him, but he always looks at me, and when I see him, and he says, "Oh, Rob, I got some bad news for you." And I'm like, "Oh, what's up?" And he says, "I haven't been going to the gym," so that's sort of the little bit of a game we play there. And so I saw him the other day, and he said that, and I listened, and I gave him a little sarcastic joke back, which he always likes, which is what makes him a great kid, because he has such a great sense of humor. And so I said, "Hey, I'll text you," So I texted him the day later, I believe it was. I said, "So, what's your primary reason for wanting to work out?" And he says, "I'm too thin. I want to be bigger." I said, "Okay." And a little bit later, I said, "So what stops you? Like, why do you start and then stop?" And I kind of had an idea what that might be. And so I said, "Do you not see results quick enough?" He says, "Yeah, I don't really see results fast enough." So, that is very common. So I want to touch on that, because what this country needs and this world needs, but really this country needs, we are the fattest country in the world. I believe I found one, or somebody found one, that was even heavier than us, and was a very obscure country I've never heard of. But as far as the industrialized countries and whatever, it doesn't matter really how we rank. We know that we're overweight, which makes us unhealthy as a society. 60 to 70% of our country is overweight and or obese. So we have issues with that. That isn't this young man's problem. He's actually in the opposite direction of that. But at the same time, we need to figure out what's wrong. How do we get more people loving health and fitness, loving the benefits of a fitness routine and a healthy eating routine, or even just the fitness routine, even if it's just the physical part. I've said it, and I say it in my new book, that the diet actually comes along as you start getting more physically fit, because your body craves better foods and it doesn't crave the bad stuff as much. So it'll happen together. But how do we get more people exercising? That's the key, How do we get this young man out there exercising? And I think there's two things that happen. There's a guy, his name is Gary Jones. He's the founder of Hammer Strength Equipment and the son of Arthur Jones, who founded Nautilus. So he's a big wig in the health and fitness industry, and I have the privilege of getting to know him. And I remember once we were talking, and me and another fellow were talking about measuring basically fitness assessments on people who like were already pretty fit, the group that are already doing what they're doing, how do we improve programming for them? And Gary jumped in and goes, the problem isn't them. The problem is all the people that aren't doing anything, and that basically the old, how do we get the people that are at baseline doing nothing up to the average versus how do we get the average to the elite? And when you think about that, there is so much truth in that as a nation. It's like our problem isn't the people that are already doing it, the people that are lifting weights on a regular basis, going to their boot camps on a regular basis, going to CrossFit on a regular basis, doing 5Ks every other week, doing triathlons a couple times a month, training for long distance triathlons like Ironman and marathons. They've got it and they're doing it. And the problem is, how do we get people engaged in a physical fitness routine that works for them? Because we will be healthier as a nation if our weakest links get stronger versus our medium links getting a little bit better, if that makes any sense. That is our issue. We are very much a society, and probably a lot of societies are, feast and famine. We have some super fits and we have some not fit at all. And we really seem to struggle as a country of moderation. Look at everything. I mean, just look at everything. Everything is either black or white. Everything is either or. Rarely do we do things in the middle. And that's true for everything. Look at politics, look at everything. Really anything's in the middle, right? But it's really the middle that really is going to influence your rankings and everything. So if our middle was so much higher on fitness, that means that we would rank so much higher. We can't just, of course it's not an Olympics, so it's not that. But let's say if it was, we're going to send our most physically fit, and Europe is going to send their most physically fit, and Africa is going to send their most physically fit, and on we go. Okay, great, yeah, we'll be fine. But that's not how it is. It's not how it is. That's not how rankings work. So we have 60 to 70% of our society obese or overweight. So really it's how do we get the people who don't love it at all, don't like it at all, haven't found the light, so to say, into it. And there's two things on that. The first one is very simple. It's identifying what your real goal is. So like I asked this young man, I said, well, what is it? What is it? And he's 17, maybe 18, it's somewhere in that range. And he wants to have some more muscle on his body. And you know what? 17, 18-year-old young man didn't. I mean, that was what we all wanted, that's thought to be attractive for the girls or whatever. And, that's fine. And I think it's really getting honest about what you really, really want. That's the key. He was, and he is. The second part of this is maybe where, he needs some guidance, and I told him I would get with him this week, and I will. But getting honest about what we really want, and so many times people have a hard time doing that. It's like, well, why do you want to do this? Well, I don't want to be fat. Okay, yeah, that's great. That is an absolute great reason. Too many people are scared to say that. They'll beat around the bush and they'll say, well, I know I should have my blood pressure down. My doctor says my cholesterol's high, and I really should be doing this for that reason, and you look at them and you say, well, do you honestly care about that right now? And a lot of times it's no, sometimes it's yes, but a lot of times it's no. They're like, I just don't want to be fat. Okay, that's great. Or a woman that says, I just want a hot ass. I just want great legs. I just want a narrow waist because I want to be striking in my bikini. Okay, that's fine. I mean, it's like we're so ashamed to just say what we're really looking for fitness. And that's the first key, is what is it you really want? Because so many times people really, really beat around the bush. Like for me, I do a lot of different events. I've done bodybuilding, I've done triathlon, so I've done endurance sports, I've done strength sports, I've done it all. But I don't want to be fat. I want to be, thin and in shape and fit and look good in my clothes. I mean, that's the bottom line. Like, and everything else leads to that, because I find different ways to have fun with it. But that's really what it all boils down to. Say, well, would you rather like do your next triathlon and like win it, but you don't look good in your estimation, or do you want to look really fit and be mediocre? I'm like, oh, look really fit. I mean, so, what does it come down to that you're really looking for? Like, what is it you want? What is it that makes you feel good and comfortable in your own skin? That's the key. What is it? Be honest about it. State it, And then with that, we can come up with assessments. So like for this young man, say, all right, so you want to be bigger. Let's be realistic. There's different body types. There's ectomorph, there's mesomorphs, there's endomorphs. I would put him in the ectomorphic group, which means he's tall and thin. He's never going to be huge, but can he be bigger? Yes. So then we find out exactly, where he's at, measurement-wise, body weight, body fat, chest, waist, arm girth, measure it, set little goals. Maybe gain an inch across the upper torso region in the next couple months, gain a half an inch on the arms in the next couple months, and train for it, be consistent with it, track it, keep an exercise journal of sorts, and measure. And that is really how you help somebody like him. So you get honest about the goals, which he was. He didn't say, oh, I want to bench press a truck, or I want to be on the cover of GQ. No, I just want to be bigger. Okay, honest about the goals. I get it. I was a adolescent male at one point too. So, you want to take your shirt off, go to the beach, impress the girls. That's fine. Just say it. So many people are just like, have so much shame based in what their true goals are. Some women, it's like, oh, I just want to, look good in lingerie. Okay, so does your husband. So it's like, just come out and say it. That's cool, or it's like, maybe it's not all about appearance, and maybe it is about other things. You maybe at one point had trouble walking a mile, and now you say, you know what, I really want to do a triathlon because I remember that day I got out of breath going up the stairs. That was what one of my professors' goals was in college, and so he started getting into endurance, and then he became really great and did an Ironman. So, but whatever it is, you're honest about it. It's not what somebody else does, but it's what you do. And then you assess it. So in the case of wanting size, you assess the girth areas, you get a good accurate body fat, you get a good weight, and then you set small achievable goals. That way you don't lose motivation. And you keep track, because you can't trust how you feel. I say it all the time. Feelings aren't facts. It's like, well, why are you quitting there, young man? Well, I just don't feel like I'm getting any bigger. Did you measure? No, I just don't feel it. It's like, well, you can't trust that. I mean, I've yet to meet anybody, and I've been doing this for so long. And I'm an inquiring type of person, so I ask questions. I've yet to meet anybody that looks in the mirror and sees what everybody else sees. I've yet to meet them. They're all going to look in the mirror and go, regardless of what it is, oh, I look fat. Oh, I look too thin. Oh, I look flabby. Oh, I don't look lean enough. Like, nobody is accurate in their own assessment that way. You have to use objective numbers. I say it all the time to people. Feelings aren't facts. It's like, track it. Nowadays your fitness trackers track, like, if you're into running and cycling and that, it does all that. So you can look and go, well, I didn't really feel so hot today. Then you go and you look and your average bike speed was faster than usual. It's like, well, there you go. Don't trust it, Let's be objective, okay? So that's rule number one. Be objective. Second part is, don't listen to the negative influencers. I mean, they're out there left and right, and we in the fitness world really shake our heads at them, okay? It's kind of like, you're comparing how your life is based on how you feel, and you live with yourself, of course, 24 hours a day, so you really know the true picture of your life. And then you go on Instagram and you see 3 seconds of somebody else's life, and then you assume they have it better. Well, it's very much that way in the fitness world. There's a lot of people out there that are constantly posting their fitness information out there, and they do it, they kind of do it like in a sneaky way, like, I'm just trying to inspire other people to do this, and it's really bullshit. That doesn't really inspire anybody. And you don't know the person looking, and I'm speaking to the people who need to hear this. I'm speaking to the people like my little buddy at Publix who wants to get bigger. Like, don't go by what these people are saying out there. It's like, they're not all that in a bag of chips. I mean, if they're posting like their records and stuff like this, I mean, I can tell you right now, that's not what the elites do. That's not what the Lance Armstrongs of the world do. So don't pay attention to it, and you don't even know what's factual in that. You can go and post, I won this particular race and there was like nobody there. I mean, okay, here's an example. I did a 10K over the, it was just about a month ago or so, I guess. And, we did it as our team of 4 because we were training for the Rock the Ridge 50 miler. So we wanted to go over and do a 10K as the 4 of us that were going to do it, just sort of as a team building thing. And we were all different paces, so we all ran our different race. Angelica, I believe, was still a little bit injured, so she didn't run it all out. She walked and pushed a couple of the others. But, it was an individual thing. And I was 4th overall, right? And I could have, like, posted that and been like, the shit. The reality is it's one of the slowest 10Ks I ever ran. I didn't really, I'm not trying to, make an excuse about that either. It's like, I didn't care. I mean, it was a fun training day. I'm not running the best 10Ks I've run in my life, and that's absolutely okay too. There's hardly anybody in the frickin' race. I mean, if there were 8 guys, I'd be surprised. But, I could have sat there, and I even forgot to get my medal. It's just, I don't care about that stuff, Maybe at one point I made a bigger deal out of it. I don't know, but I don't care. But I could have sat there and said, 4th overall. The only thing that makes that cool is that I would compare it to all the people that didn't show up that day. In other words, that's what matters. We're out there doing it. How we place in a race all comes down to who showed up in these local races. There's no qualifications. It's not like you have to qualify to make a triathlon around here or a 5K, 10K, whatever, a marathon even. So it's like anybody can enter. So it's like who showed up. So like, let's say you ran a really, really good run. You wear your Garmin or you wear your Apple Watch, and it tells you, those things tell you your little PRs. So let's say you did your best 6.2 mile time ever according to your watch. That's a good day. Like, that is like, more power to you, man. Give yourself a pat on the back. That's a good thing. And that's good use of technology, by the way. It could try to reinforce people for doing the right thing. But let's say this, track team showed up and they're all the Masters top athletes in the country, and they showed up. So you literally were 21st out of 21 people. But you set your PR, but the only ones that show up were these basically the very best people over 40 in the country, or even in the state, whatever. You're last out of that group. Does that mean you sucked that day? Of course not. That's ridiculous. You just did better than you've ever done. That's what it comes down to. That's why I pay so little attention to how we place and how we do all that. And then, so people who might be struggling with motivation might go online and they might see people that are making a bigger deal out of their accomplishments that, than needed. And they're really not doing it because they're trying to inspire you. They're really doing it because the bottom line is they need a pat on the back. They never got that in life for whatever reason. Who knows? The psychology major in me says maybe they're not happily married. Maybe they never got it. Maybe they have daddy issues. Maybe they have mommy issues. Whatever. I mean, they're not that sad. I'm not saying it's, something to be making fun of them. I mean, I try to use empathy with that, although at times it is difficult because it's frustrating because you're not motivating anybody to get started. If anything, you're discouraging them because they're looking at it and going, well, I can never do that. Well, neither can they, but everybody can get better at what they're doing. And that's what it all comes down to, getting better at what you're doing. So like, if your running times are getting better and your weight is coming down, you're getting more fit. I mean, that's the bottom line. You are becoming more healthy and fit. And then you can look at like where some of the agencies like the American College of Sports Medicine and all that have little benchmarks for fitness wise, and they'll say if you run 1.5 miles, for example, in under, I don't remember, I think it's under like 15 minutes, so it's basically like a 10-minute mile. Well, you're now like in 60% of the criterion for being pretty physically fit. So that's pretty cool. So you can look at that and go, oh, okay. And then like if you get, I believe it's under 12 minutes for 1.5 miles, like you're in that like 90 percentile of fitness. So now, excuse me, you're pretty physically fit. So in other words, there are benchmarks for fitness and health. So like the faster your running times are at a given age, or the faster your walking times are too. There's actually standards for walking too. And then you calculate that with your weight and you can look it all up and you go, oh wow, you're like an 80 percentile of the United States for your fitness. So like that's what it's all about, you getting more physically fit regardless of what that is. There's the same kind of criterion based stuff for strength too. You can bench press a certain percentage of your body weight and you can go see how you fall into world statistics and go, oh man, so I've gotten better. And that's what it comes down to. You've gotten better because as a nation we need more fit people. That's plain and simple. We just need everybody to improve. That's what we need, inspire, get inspired, compare yourself to yourself. So like if you're into all that, and these stats aren't that hard to find. I pointed them out to a client who I actually just had this morning. I pointed it out to him a couple of years ago. Now he's like, he thinks that's cool. So like when we bench press and I'll show him, it's like, look, Gary, you're in 90 percentile for your age and in strength, for upper body strength. So like if you're improving that and then you're improving your walk or run time, so there are two major areas you've just improved yourself, your running and your strength. It doesn't have anything to do with comparing against anybody else. There's nothing wrong with healthy competition. If you're out there and you're doing a triathlon, I mean, they keep score for a reason, that's fine. And you might be using people around you to go a little faster and they might be using you, as long as they don't cheat and draft off of you on the bicycle. But in any event, there's nothing wrong with that, but keep it in perspective, And I just think that the influencers that are out there, whether they're paid or not paid, are doing a really shitty job trying to inspire people because they're not talking about what it means to them. And half of them are full of shit anyway. Like half of them are, talking about what they're into fitness because they want to inspire people and all this and that, and a lot of times they're just not being honest themselves. They want to look really, really good or whatever, and they would rather go run 20 miles than watch how they eat. It's kind of a quasi eating disorder, so it's like it's not even really true anyway, so my advice for everybody out there trying to get more motivated is, if you don't feel good about yourself when you see somebody else's post, if it makes you kind of like feel lesser than, then don't follow them anymore. Don't put a lot of credence in what they have to say. I'm honest with you. I always try to be honest with you. So like when I did a Masters bodybuilding show a year ago or so, I did 3 in the past year, and I posted a lot of pictures and I showed my trophies. People, it's about business. That's it. It's about business. Anybody that knows me going into it knew that it was like I wasn't making this huge deal out of it. I didn't think I was at the Arnold Classic competing against Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think there might have been one or two people in my categories in a couple of the events or whatever. Honestly, I don't even know. I posted it for business. It's like, well, if you're over 50 and you're still in this tiny little, bikini, you must be doing okay, or at least know something about fitness. And that was it. It was about business. I didn't need pats on the back or you're awesomes or any of that. If anything, people that know me know I'm kind of shy in that regard. It really was business. It's just trying to get people in the doors, man. That's it. I mean, I say it for what it is. It's all it's about. It's like, I don't like to post that stuff because I just don't. I believe I'm pretty right-sized on that stuff. It's like, there are elites and pros out there for a reason, and I'm not one of them. I don't care to be one, and it doesn't matter. I just want to improve. I just want to be better every day. So, if you're following somebody out there and they're not giving you that message, don't follow them. Just know that they're full of shit. I mean, that's the bottom line. If they have to go on Facebook and social media and tell you how great they are all the time, I can tell you right now, they are not a confident individual. They are not a healthy individual. They are a person that needs a ton of praise. They're a person that needs a ton of pats on the back. They are not healthy. The best athletes I've ever known, and I've known some professionals in every sport, don't do that. They don't do that. Period. I listen to Lance Armstrong's podcast, and people can think what they want about him. I still think he's one of the greatest athletes of all time, and I think his podcast where he talks about redemption is pretty cool, and I do believe him, and I do. But whatever, that's my personal choice to believe in that. But anyway, he was talking about how he did a marathon, and he's not even it's silly to say he's not a runner. He used to be a great triathlete before he was a great cyclist, but he did the Austin, Texas marathon, and he was a little banged up going into it. And he did it as a charity thing, and what he did was he started, I think it was 20 minutes, 20 or 40, I think it was 20 minutes after everybody else. And the challenge was how many people can he catch before he finishes. So I don't remember, there's thousands of people in the Austin Marathon, but anyway, he caught all but 40 people, all but 40. He never posted that. He didn't do any of that. It only came up because when he was being interviewed, he talked about it as a charity. And he was actually talking to Ryan Hall, who's one of the greatest marathoners of all time, and he was talking to him about it. That's how it even came up. He didn't even post it. He was like, yeah, I caught all but 40, so, I don't know. Whoever he didn't catch, it was like he was going to donate a certain thousand or something like that. I don't know. It was all to raise money. It was a game. But anyway, he didn't post all that. He didn't, oh man, I was blank overall, and, I ran this time, and, he didn't do that, So the people who really are super good at their sport, they don't do that. They just don't. If you did something you're super, super proud of for yourself and it's inspiring, by all means post it. You do your first marathon, yeah, all that's great. But just be aware that when you start over bragging, everybody's laughing at you. I hate to break it to you, nobody's like, they might be telling you good job, you might get 100 likes, you might get all this, but all you're doing is being a turn off. We don't want to turn off, we want to turn on. We want people coming into fitness and loving it like I do. That's what I want. I want people going, yeah, I started doing it and I got better and I'm so thankful I did. That's what we want, all right? So just something to chew on today, and until next time, be Max Fit, be Max Well.